Hi students, I decided to make a little guide to help you on your quiz that you're going to have. Your quiz will look just like this. I just kind of changed some numbers around and changed a couple of things. I hope this will help you. Go ahead and pause and rewatch whatever you need. Skip over the stuff you know. I have it in order by the sections. So the first couple of questions is tell whether the set of ordered pairs is a linear function or not. So remember, you have to have a constant change in x over the constant change in y to be linear. They have to be a constant change. So look at the x. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Is that a constant change? Look at the y. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So it increases by 4, 4, 4, 4. So the y is constant. But x goes up by 1, then goes up by 2, and then 4. So that is not constant. The x does not have a constant rate of change, so it says explain whether it does or not. So it's not just a yes or no. So since the x does not have a constant, is not constant, then, so I'll say therefore, it is not linear. So be sure to explain, don't just say yes or no. Number 2, tell whether each function is linear. If it is, graph it. So this one, it just is a yes or no. It doesn't say explain why. This does not violate any of our rules. Our rules are the x can't have like an exponent. It can't be in the denominator of a fraction. It can't be multiplied. X and y can't be multiplied together. There's I think those were the 3. There might have been another one I missed off the top of my head that we wrote out in your notes. So this doesn't violate it, so this is a function. This one is not because x is in the denominator. So you just write no, you don't have to explain why. And then you only have to graph the ones that are functions. So on number 2, it says only graph if it's a function, which this one is. So we're going to graph number 2. So the way I like to use slope-intercept form, so here's the y-intercept is -7. So I start at y is -7. And then I use my slope. I make it a fraction, put 4 over 1. So rise over run. So that means I'm going to go up 4 is my rise and over 1 from the y-intercept. So I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then I connect those with a straight edge. There's my graph. Number 3, only graph if it's a function, which number 3 was not a function, so we don't have to graph that one. So on to 5.2 about the x and y-intercepts. So in this one, you just have to find where they are on the graph. So it crosses, sometimes it's hard to see, but I made all these whole numbers, so you can ask me on the quiz to be sure. Make sure to label which is which. If you just write 2 numbers, I don't know which is which. So are the x-intercept and our y-intercept. So remember, up and down is y, so the y-intercept is -2. And side to side is your x, and that's crossing right here at 4. Next, we need to find the x and y-intercepts just by using an equation instead of a graph. So this is where you do the little cover-up method there. So cover the y. We're going to find the x-intercept. That's when y is 0. That's why these cancel out, since y is 0. So I get that -9x equals 18. So I'll write that out to show you what I'm looking at. When I cover that up, that says -9x equals 18. And that's a simple equation to solve with just one step. Divide by -9. 18 divided by -9 would be -2. So that's the x-intercept. And then to find the y-intercept, that's when x is 0, so we make that 0, and we get the equation 3y equals 18. So to solve for y, we divide by 3 on both sides. Those cancel, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So the y-intercept is 6, and the x-intercept is -2. So number 6, we're going to graph it. So I'm going to do the same method to find my x and y-intercept, since it's in standard form to graph. You can put this in y-intercept form if you want. If you like to graph better where y equals mx plus b, I like this way too. You can solve for y and graph that. But since it's in standard form, I'm going to use this method to find the y-intercept because it's a little faster. So our y-intercept here, to solve for y, I divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And for my x-intercept, I cover up the y, and there I get 16x equals 4. So 16x equals 4, and I solve by dividing by 16 on both sides. So x equals, this reduces to 1/4. So I plot those 2 points on my graph. I'll put 1/4 here. So my y-intercept is 1 right here. And the x-intercept is 1/4. Sorry, it ended up being a fraction. So 1/4 is just barely past the 0 right there. And then you connect them with your ruler or straight edge. And there's your line. So that's how you graph using x and y intercepts. Section 5.3 was calculating the slope if you're given a line. So on here you need to find where the line crosses nice in a good spot. Sometimes it's hard to tell. On your quiz you're welcome to ask me if you can't tell. So looking, I think it crosses nice right here, and it looks like maybe right here. And this line isn't exact on the graph, you know, so again, just ask me if you're not sure which 2 points to use. So you choose 2 points, and then you go from left to right, rise over run. So I have to go up 1. So my rise is 1. Over, how far over? 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is 1/4. See how it's going up? Positive. And then number 8, pick 2 points here. That looks like a good spot. And this looks like a good spot. So this line's going down. It's going to have a negative slope. Be sure you start on the left dot, go left to right. So see how far up rise, it doesn't go up, it goes down. That's why it's negative. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I like to double check and make sure I counted it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that can be reduced because 2 goes into both of them. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Line's going down, it's negative, negative 2/3. Now section 5.4 is finding the slope between 2 points. So that's this formula, which I will write on the board for you, so you don't have to have it memorized. So you find the difference between the y values over the difference between the x values. So here's your second y value, 2, minus the first y value, 7. And that's over the second x value, 5, minus the first y value, negative 3. So see, I have minus and negative. I kept that minus negative. And now I go, okay, when I subtract negatives, you are really adding. So I change that to a plus sign there to remind me that I really add. So 2 minus 7 is negative 5. And 5 plus 3 is 8. Reduce that if you can, which there's not a number that goes in either one of those. So that's my slope. Can't be reduced. Now this other one, you're actually given a graph and 2 points. And it says, tell what the slope represents. So this one you're going to have to write a little bit. So careful, if you're doing rise over run, look at, this is counting skits 1 to 100, skits 1 to 200. So this is actually counting by 50s. Where this is counting by halves, see it skips 1, 1, 2. This is counting by halves. So you can't just do rise over run because they're not counting by the same units. So that's why it's really useful to look at the numbers. So going from here to here, your rise, how far up did you go? So if I went from 50 to 150, how far up is 50 to 150? That's a rise of 100. And then you look how far over. I went from 1 to 3. You want to use these points. 1 to 3, that means I went over 2 for my run. You can use this formula to plug these numbers in as well. So plug those in the formula just like number 9. Don't forget to simplify this all the way. Some students will say, oh, that reduces to 50 over 1. Well, keep going. What's 50 over 1 equal? 50 divided by 1 is just 50. Now explain what it means. So the rise, 50, the rise is your distance. The run, 1, is your time. And this is talking about a tour bus travel. So this means the bus goes a distance of 50 miles, because it says miles here, each one, and that 1 represents hour. The bus goes 50 miles each 1 hour, or you can say the bus goes 50 miles per hour as well. So be sure to explain that one. Then the last section on your quiz is 5-6, slope-intercept form. So you just have to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Slope of -4, y-intercept of 3. So remember y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form. M is your slope, b is the y-intercept. So this one, slope -4 goes in front of the x, and the y-intercept, since it's a positive 3, I put plus 3. There's our equation in slope-intercept form. So this equation's in slope-intercept form. We have to find the slope and y-intercept. Make sure you label them either with the word slope or the letter. So the slope here is 12. The y-intercept isn't just 6, but -6. Okay, remember, take the sign in front. Y-intercept -6, slope is 12, sorry. So either write the letter or write the word, so I know which is which. And finally, we're going to graph. So it says write the following equation in slope-intercept form, then graph. So this one's worth 2 points. First is rewriting this, the second is graphing it. So to get it in slope-intercept form, we have to solve for y. Get y by itself. So to get this y by itself, I have to get rid of this -4x. To undo -4x, I add 4x. What I do to one side of this equation, I have to do to the other side. Because -4 plus 4 is 0. That leaves me with y equals, these are unlike terms. Put the 4x in front for a slope, minus 5 for our y-intercept. So that's in slope-intercept form now. And now I can graph it pretty easy. Using the y-intercept, -5, so it crosses y at -5 right here. And then I use my slope. I'm going to put it in a fraction, 4 over 1. So I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And there is your line. So that's your quiz. Please ask me questions in class if you don't understand these before we start the quiz. Good luck, everyone.